It's time for the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship, our final round for 2020. From WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in Monterey, California, it's the Geico Motorcycle MotoAmerica Superbike Speed Fest at Monterey. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Supersport. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time world champ Jason Pridmore. Now, Jason, Richie Escalante has already wrapped up the title, but there's still a couple races to go. Yeah, there's always going to be that motivation to finish off the year the way you have ran all season long. This guy ran away with the championship, did Richie Escalante, and he's looking to repeat that here. Something a little different for Richie Escalante and his crew this weekend, though, Jason. Third in points, Brandon Posh has moved from the Celtic HSBK Racing team to the Honos team to be teammates with Richie Escalante. Great opportunity for Brandon to jump on a different brand motorcycle, one that he's been chasing all year long, so we'll see how he goes. And the third member of our broadcast team, Hannah Lopa, had a chance to catch up with Brandon Posh and talk to him about the team change.
Greg, Jason, the Supersport champion for 2020 has been crowned in Richie Escalante. And despite wrapping up third in points for the season, we've seen a change for Brandon Posh here at this last round. Brandon, tell us about what's going on.
Yeah, so I already finished third in the points, and I was just kind of struggling a bit with some stuff on the Yamaha, and I wanted to try something new and see like if there was an actual difference on the bike and see if it was something that I would want to do for next year, because there's already talks maybe to jump on the team for 2021 for Supersport. So I don't know, I just thought it was a good time to experience something new and try and, like, I don't know, get after it again.
So being on this new team, working with a new crew, and being on a different bike, how are things going so far for you this weekend? How do you feel?
So far it's pretty good. We're like 1.7 off in the second session, which obviously is pretty far, but I've never ridden the Cowie before ever, so the first session was my first time ever on the bike, and just slowly learning. I haven't been here in 4 or 5 years, and yeah, so just trying to figure everything out, but we'll be all right.
Well, best of luck with all those changes this weekend, and we'll see you out there. Guys?
Jason, what do you think? A good move, last race of the season with third all wrapped up? Great move, big step, because he didn't get to do any testing or any practice really on the bike, so today was his first time actually being on the bike, so it's a big move. Tons of news in Supersport, including the return of JD Beach to Supersport. He's on the Celtic HSBK Racing Yamaha that was vacated by Brandon Posh, and he gets a go at the racetrack again here in MotoAmerica competition. Jason, two-time Supersport champ. Yeah, this worked out for all parties involved. It's great to see JD Beach back on pavement. He's been dirt tracking all season long, as we know. Good to see him here at Laguna Seca. And he's having tons of fun on this racetrack. Let's take a look at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, 2.238 miles in length, built way back in 1957. Has seen some changes since then, but if you're a dirt track racer, you absolutely love this place because of those 7 left-hand corners, tons of elevation. The signature corner turns 7 and 8, known as the corkscrew. Now, Jason, plenty of places to pass and really make a race out of it. So let's take a look at the Cardo track hot spots for WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Yeah, Greg, you're exactly right. There are plenty of places to pass. Turn 1, very intimidating, wide open, but it really does open up a pass going down into turn number 2. After you roll through this big, long double apex left, you go through turns 3 and 4, which are flat, which takes you to turn 5, and this is really where the climb up to the corkscrew starts. This is a banked turn up the hill. You're going to go up through that bridge underneath this tunnel here into turn 6, a fast left-hander that then goes up that really steep grade that's going to take you to here, Greg, the corkscrew. Everybody knows about the corkscrew all around the world. A big elevator drop, as we hear every year, going down through here into Rainy Corner, turn 9, and it's going to eventually get you down to turn 11, and we've seen races won and lost here, but this is the turn, shoots you onto that big straightaway. This racetrack tends to promote some very close racing and a lot of drama. So that's our Cardo track hot spots. Thanks for that, Jason. What about this guy, Richie Escalante? He's got his shackles off. He's got no points he's got to race for because he's the champ, but everyone is going after the number 1.
Today's Supersport coverage is sponsored by Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on motorcycle insurance. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca under mildly cloudy skies as this race is close to starting. Motorcycles on their warm-up lap. Let's take a look at the starting grid. Here is how they qualified and how they're lining up. Richie Escalante on pole.
Yeah, next to him, SDK, Sean Dillon Kelly, and great to see JD Beach back there on row 1. Benjamin Smith, outstanding, qualifying 4th with Brandon Posh on his new Honda's Kawasaki ride. Bryce Prince back in the series here at Laguna Seca on his own built R6. Corey Ventura, good to see Corey back as well. He's been doing a lot of AFM. Kevin Almeida, Andrew Lee, our 1,000 Superstock champion from the last couple of years, is going to start row 3. Nate Minster, Aguilar, and Silva will round out row number 4 back to 5. Nolan Lampkin, Xavier Zayat, Jarrett Nassani. Then we're going to go back a little further. Patrick Coleman, Alejandro Thormiotis, and Zaragoza are going to be through row 6. A little further back, got Kevin Murphy, Harm Jansen, CJ LaRoche, Mookie Wilkerson, Grant Cowan, Stephen Campbell.
And the final page, Jason, of competitors in this class. I am excited for this one because the front row has been close the entire weekend in terms of lap times, and turn 2 can be awfully exciting here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca.
There's just so many people like that we haven't got to see in a while that I'm excited to see how they end up, especially the guy on the front row there, number 195.
Here we go when the red lights go out. Race 1 Supersport underway. JD Beach inside of your screen got a decent launch. So did Richie Escalante at 54. But is it going to be M4X Star Suzuki, Sean Dillon Kelly into turn number 1? JD Beach had the position, and it's going to be SDK trying to lean on the outside. JD Beach leads on the Celtic HSBK Racing Yamaha.
What a dream start for JD. You see SDK taking a straight line, direct approach down into turn 3. He's going to sneak underneath him. Can JD turn it back up underneath him? He will as they exit 3. Escalante the whole time sitting here watching it. SDK is in a hurry to get to the front, Greg, but JD Beach is going to lead him down into turn 5 on the opening lap.
It's been 2 years since JD Beach was on a Supersport machine, and ooh, there goes Sean Dillon Kelly again, and JD Beach using those dirt track skills to cross back over, and he'll lead us to the top of the hill.
And how about Brandon Posh slots in on his new ride in 4th, so he's got the guy leading that's been on his bike all year, and Brandon's on a new motorcycle, and he did a really nice job this morning in second qualifying to vault himself up the field. Brandon's been really getting used to that bike there on the 21 in 4th place at the moment.
JD Beach coming off a year of American flat track racing. Told me that he's just been trying to get back into the rhythm of road racing. Keeps forgetting he has extra tools at his disposal, like front brakes. Escalante side by side.
Big move down into turn 10. Escalante made the move up underneath SDK. SDK is going to fire right back as they go into 11. JD Beach is going to lead his first lap back after a year absence, Greg.
Yeah, and that was in Superbike. So it's been 2 years, September 9th. Since he won in 2018, JD Beach, and he's out front as he's leaving the battle to the title contenders, the championship rivals in SDK, and of course, your number 1 plate, Richie Escalante.
And you got to think neither one of these two guys in 2nd and 3rd want to see JD Beach rock up into their series and just go ahead and lead the first lap and lead the entire race. Escalante now making a big run. I watched him follow JD around for the better part of 5 or 6 laps this morning. So Escalante has already got a good look this morning at where JD is going to put this bike. But look at Escalante going to work, Greg, as he closes up on the back as they exit turn 5.
Yeah, but heading into turn number 5, there's a lot of movement on the front end of Richie Escalante's Kawasaki. Almost looks like chatter under braking, but this is Richie Escalante. He really likes to lead. He likes to get out front and have his lines, but JD Beach, we know he's a fighter along with Sean Dillon Kelly, but SDK at the moment losing a couple of bike lengths to Richie Escalante, who seems awfully strong in sectors 1 and 2.
JD's bike gets through the corkscrew really well. You saw him pull away just a little bit there as they made that transition from the left to the right and down the big hill. Escalante now rolls up on the back of JD as they come into turn 11. He's looking like he wants to have a go, Greg, and he is.
Escalante sideways, dirt track style, left-hander, final corner, and the Honos Kawasaki rider goes to the front. JD Beach now with a good look at your reigning champion, Richie Escalante. Here they go down into turn number 2. Beach is going to fall behind him. Escalante thinks maybe JD was going to get after him. So now we're going to see if Escalante has got something in the tank. He's going to put his head down and try to snap JD Beach. But JD is not an easy one to walk away from. incredible that we're saying this. It's been so long since JD's ridden Supersport.
And we know JD watches all of the series, and he's going to know who these guys are. Obviously, he's raced against both of them before. I don't know if he's raced against STK, come to think of it, but he's definitely raced with Richie on the same track in 600s in years past. But it's going to take him a little while to get his mojo back, even though JD is a racer. All he does is spend time on motorcycles. If you follow him at all, you'll notice that on his Instagram. He's dirt tracking pretty much every day. But it's going to take him a couple laps, and he's going to get a chance to kind of pick apart what he can see with Escalante. Already, though, Escalante opened up a small gap. We'll have a good look at these lap times. Escalante genuinely, when he gets to the lead, Greg, and he has some open track, has a tendency to split this leading group up.
Good looking, a lot of speed from Richie Escalante early in this race, Hannah.
Yeah, back to JD Beach, what you guys were saying, you know, every time he gets back on the bike, he feels like it's improved. John Ethel, JD's former crew chief, is here helping him with setup based on his knowledge of what JD used to run. But JD hasn't even been on a sport bike since Barber last year, and that was the 1000cc motorcycle. So it's been a big difference, but he said he's just going to race the bike how it is now to see how it feels full race distance, gather as much data as they can, and come out swinging again tomorrow.
To add to that, when I was talking to John Ethel about this thing, you know, when they were racing together in 2018 in Supersport, when they won the championship, the amount of information JD used to come off the racetrack with in the debrief was a page. Now, because JD's been sliding around on a dirt track all year long, he can't really discern, like, well, what's grip and what's not grip. So it's been information, it's been like 2 lines. Well, I just want it better out of turn 3 and better out of turn 5. Oh, rider down.
Almeida, looks like Almeida is down and trying to see what turn that could be. Probably looks like a turn 2 camera shot there, Greg, so we'll have to get back to that. But going back to JD, even watching first session yesterday to second session, you know, you got to think that all year long when this guy cracks the throttle on, he's feeling some movement from the rear of the bike in the dirt. On pavement now, he's got all this grip again, and so that's something that he's going to have to get used to as well. You know, and I know that we think, wow, JD's got such a long history, champion in this class, obviously a couple times, that it doesn't just go away. But when you're not doing it every weekend and staying on the sharp edge as he had for so long is definitely a transition to come back into it. And you can see now this gap at the front has kind of been sustained this lap from JD. Last time through, they were about a half a second difference between Escalante and JD Beach, which is probably going to be about that again, Greg, as they come across. Big wheelie out of JD out of last corner. That's going to allow STK to sneak up onto the back of him.
Here comes Sean Dillon Kelly, M4X Star Suzuki. Is he going to have some room up the inside? So SDK's got position, but JD Beach going sideways. Little bit wide. SDK's going to slide underneath, and that's for second spot.
Yeah, he's going to get up underneath him, and that was all set up a little bit further back. It allowed SDK to get close enough to JD when he got that big wheelie out of turn 11. Those 3 guys have now split apart just a little bit from Brandon Posh and Benjamin Smith. You saw them back in the back of our shot. You'll see those 2 coming through turn 5 now, turn 4 rather. These 2 guys, Brandon again on that new bike, and he's going to do what he can to just try to keep those guys up there in sight. Really nice work from Benjamin Smith. Love what I'm seeing here. Great qualifying position and really paying it through in this race as well. Top 5 so far. He's got Corey Ventura. Oh, that's going to be JD Beach.
Oh,
JD crashes in turn number 6.
So JD Beach out of this one, pushing hard for a podium position. A little miscue here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca.
Just got to hope he's up and he's okay. It looks like he's walking all right, Greg. That's a big crash there. That's going to be either losing the front just at the little dip, or if it high-sided him off the inside. And when you're walking the way he's walking right now, let's see if it high-sides him off the inside. Does the rear snap on him? Yes, it does. Rear snapped on him at the dip there, Greg, as you go through that little depression, and it spit him off the inside of the bike.
Wow. So JD Beach, he took a hard hit when he landed because he was still on like around the curbing area. So Escalante still leads. Sean Dillon Kelly pushing. And what about Brandon Posh on the Honos Kawasaki? He's now in 3rd place. But Benjamin Smith is nice and close on the Northeast Cycle Outlet Racing Yamaha R6.
These guys are both in the minute 27 ranges, low 27s at that. We've seen 27.2 as the fastest for Escalante, 27.1 for Sean Dillon Kelly. So they're both living right now in the low 27s. Last time through, 27.3, 27.4. Guys behind them are in the 28.1s. So it's almost a second. It's about 0.8 of a second between what these 2 riders are doing and the next couple of guys behind them. And this is the turn that we just saw JD go down. They're getting his bike removed there from the gravel trap. And you can see just back there in 5th, that's Corey Ventura. Now Corey's going to know that this is a spot for him to try to get himself up onto that podium as well. He's got to just keep grinding these laps away, especially through the middle of the race.
And Jason, when it comes to what's going on in the Hono Superbike class, there's Cameron Beaubier leaving for Moto2. There are spots open as Tony Elias announced he'll be leaving the M4 X-Star Suzuki team. There's a lot of eyes focused in Supersport as to who might take those positions for 2021. And one of the riders' names being popped around is Corey Ventura. Even though we haven't seen much of him, he's a really well-known rider, and he is putting on a great show. This is the 28 back in 5th spot.
Well, especially from up here in Northern California. We all know who Corey Ventura is, and again, he's been racing some stuff with AFM. There's a great look at him. He made the brand switch also from a Yamaha to a Kawasaki during his off-season. Probably funding is a lot of the reasons why they decided to stay a little bit closer to home. But this kid here, he should be racing MotoAmerica every single weekend, and he's doing a fantastic job. You see the bike moving around quite a bit. These laps are important for him.
Jason, I spoke with Corey, and he said, you know, he raced this bike in AFM. They have a decent base setup, especially testing at Thunder Hill really prepared it well for this track specifically. He wants to go with the leaders, try and stay in a podium battle. It seems like he's doing a good job of that so far. He's happy with his pace. He's just kind of waiting to see where he stacks up in a race situation because he wasn't able to turn any laps with anyone else in practice sessions.
It's great, Hannah. Yeah, and you're exactly right. These are the kind of laps that for a young man like Corey are so important because he'll be able to make any kind of changes. I can already see a couple things just with the motorcycle right now that he would probably like to not have happening underneath him. A lot of movement. Look at how much he straight lines down into turn 9. I love that. Trying to cut some of that distance off. Look at the lap last times through between Corey and the two guys in front of him. He's right around the same. Posh was the slower one. Benjamin Smith having a shot at Brandon as they go down into turn 11.
Nice move by Benjamin Smith out of Pennsylvania. He gets it done. Ken Posh motor back around him. They're side by side coming across the line. Posh is going to have that inside line over the crest of turn number 1, down into the double apex turn number 2. It's going to be the 88, though, who gets the nod. Jay, the one thing about Brandon Posh and talking with him about the Hono's Kawasaki was chatter. We've talked about it for years with the Kawasaki ZX6R. A lot of times with certain setups and the way you ride the motorcycle, it can create front-end chatter on the motorcycle, not very comfortable. Brandon Posh told me that Richie Escalante has been helping him all he can this weekend, and Richie's been figuring out riding this motorcycle this year, certain things he does with the body, throttle control, and the way that he manages the brakes that's reduced the amount of chatter coming from this Kawasaki ZX6 chassis.
Yeah, we haven't really heard him talk about that much, but it's all about how you're distributing the load on the motorcycle. So when you hear him talking about doing some things through throttle, doing some things through his body, sometimes as a rider you have to adjust to the motorcycle itself, and that's exactly what Escalante has been able to do so well this season, because generally we've heard this Kawasaki does have some chattering issues, but not so much. We haven't heard it from Richie, and if he has had much of it, he's been able to control it. I really like what I'm seeing from SDK as well, as he looks like he's going to take a shot.
Is this
down
a pass for the lead? M4 X-Star Suzuki, Sean Dillon Kelly surprises Richie Escalante. He's a little wide, but now the drag race to start-finish line. Escalante falling behind the M4 X-Star Suzuki. Down into turn number 2 they go. Is Escalante going to be okay following Sean Dillon Kelly? What a move by SDK, who's running that soft front versus the extra soft. Or sorry, Sean Dillon Kelly is on soft softs all the way around. The difference is Richie Escalante on the extra soft on the rear. So we are 11 laps to go. We're closing in on halfway of Supersport race number 1 and a new race leader in Sean Dillon Kelly.
I really like what he did there. He just went and parked it at the apex of turn 11 and really got the bike stopped. So it didn't really allow Escalante to turn back up underneath him. A lot of times when you make that move late in turn 11, it's going to run you wide a little bit on the exit. We've seen that a number of times before, Greg, and SDK just did a good job of getting the bike down there and parked.
When I talked to Sean Dillon Kelly earlier this weekend, he said he and his crew are focused on one thing, and that's tire wear, Jason. As we take a look at left part of your screen coming onto the front straightaway.
And you can see he didn't sacrifice too much of his exit. He didn't have the bike stop so much to where he couldn't utilize some of that exit, and that's what allowed him to still get off the turn really nice. Now we're going down into turn 10 again.
So what I was saying was that they were concentrating on tire wear, because where they have been struggling with the M4 X-Star Suzuki is the late stages of the race, where Richie Escalante has been able to get out front, set a controlled rhythm in the middle of the race, and then push those last 5 laps. So this is the strategy that Sean Dillon Kelly and his team have been working on. 27.5 last time by the stripe, 27 flat, the fastest lap of the race by Sean Dillon Kelly 2 laps ago. So something in reserve for SDK. Look at his body position. When he activates that throttle, twists that grip, he gets the motorcycle stood up, trying to get off the edge of that tire and conserve a little bit of tire life.
Yep, absolutely, and that's exactly what you see him doing, Greg. And you know, we still got 9 laps, 10 laps to go in this race. These guys have still in the minute 27 mark. Behind them, we've got Benjamin Smith up to third, but Corey Ventura has also managed to get by Brandon Posh. So those two guys are locked into a battle. But these two guys, a little bit of a league of their own right now. 0.6 quicker was this 2 compared to Benjamin Smith. So Escalante's just going to go to work now and look at the back of SDK for probably a few laps. We haven't seen a lot of patience between these two as far as being able to race against each other and battle with each other. But SDK's done a nice job of keeping Escalante honest today, and that pass in 11 definitely showed that.
Yeah, I wonder if Sean Dillon Kelly feels like he's got something extra, because, you know, if you're going purely for the race win, I think what you do with Richie Escalante is just hound him. Just sit on his tailpipe if you have the speed, as opposed to get out front, because now it's SDK who's going to set the pace and abuse his tires a little bit more. Like I said, the M4X Star Suzuki team, SDK, telling me that it's about tire life and not abusing that tire towards the end of the race. So I wonder if this might be a little bit too early for SDK to attack. Indications are, with Richie Escalante a couple bike lengths back, that it might be. Although, looking at Richie's body position, Jason, and his attitude on the bike, do you think that he's bothered at this point?
No, not at all. We've seen this guy mature as a rider right before our eyes this year. Talked a lot about him being frantic at the beginning of the season in the first 3 or 4 rounds. Then I think once he started to realize the package he had underneath him, along with the team that he has, I think it calmed him as a rider to where it allowed him to start planning his races and making a little bit better idea of what he wanted to do and what he wanted to get out of each race. And right now it looks like he's just sitting on the back of SDK. The pace has gone from low 27s now to 27.6s that last time through. Escalante's on the right side as they go up into the corkscrew. Won't be the ideal spot to be this lap, but he's just kind of testing things out and seeing where he can put himself to maybe start to make a plan. Probably, I would say, Greg, within 3 or 4 or 5 laps from now.
The famous drop out of the corkscrew into Rainy Curve. They're going to go down into turn number 10, and Sean Dillon Kelly leading this one, Hannah.
Greg, you mentioned how Sean really needs to manage that rear tire. I spoke to him earlier, and he said yesterday they were having trouble with rear grip. They got that situation fixed, but it kind of created a new problem for him. The bike wasn't turning well. It was pushing wide. So they went back to the drawing board, made some more adjustments to the motorcycle, and they think they found a good balance. So it's just a matter of, like you said, managing that tire degradation to the end of the race.
Lap traffic, no problems for Sean Dillon Kelly. Turn 2.
Oh,
ooh, Escalante.
It looked like he may have just lost the front a little bit there in the bike. I'd have to go back and see that, because I saw the same thing you did, Greg, just in the background there. Looked like he maybe just lost the front and the thing came back up underneath him. So 27.6 to 27.4 that time. Escalante went 7.4. So now you can see that little bit of a gap. So Escalante's going to be feeling for that again, I'm sure.
Yeah, that could be the first warning sign that Escalante has worn it out.
Let's have a look here. Does he get on the paint a little bit? No, that was... Wow, that was just weird. I'm not even really sure exactly what happened there.
It's almost like he fell off the inside of the bike.
That was strange. That was almost like the bike cut out. It was almost like the bike cut out underneath him.
Yeah.
And threw all of his body weight forward is what it looked like to me. And by you can see him now, this gap has gotten a lot bigger for Sean Dillon Kelly at the front against Escalante. So maybe he could be having a problem. We'll have to keep an eye on that, because the gap is even bigger than it was when they exited turn 2 after that. But Escalante still looks like the bike's running. So
yeah, but still, Jason, the focus, that onboard analysis, he's got a problem.
So it could be shifter too. You look down at the shifter, but yeah, he's definitely got a problem.
That onboard analysis, when you're trying to figure out what just happened. Oh, I saw him take his hand off the bar, possibly waving or motioning to his crew when he came by. So Escalante having an issue with 7 laps to go in this one. Sean Dillon Kelly pushed the issue, got to the front, and now he's got a big gap. His crew would have let him know that he had more of a gap than he had the lap before via his pit board when he went by start-finish line. So Escalante now, he's got to be in management mode as he looks behind to see who's there.
Well, they've got about 7, almost 8 seconds on the battle behind. The battle behind that time was a half second quicker than what Escalante was. This guy now is going to just try to set sail, put himself into these consistent laps. It's going to give SDK a nice little visual when he comes by that pit board and sees probably +2 on his board this next time through.
Turn 6, where JD Beach went down earlier in this race, to the corkscrew through some lap traffic. Nice and clean run in for Sean Dillon Kelly.
Yeah, he's going to have easy almost a 3-second lead this time. So now the hope for Escalante will be that he'll be able to hold on to that podium position, because the two guys behind him, Benjamin Smith and Corey Ventura, are battling, and they're about a second apart from each other. You can see Escalante is going to get pushed wide. That looks like... Is that, I want to say it looks like Benjamin, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, to me it looks like Benjamin Smith
up in the corkscrew.
I believe it is. He's starting to fall down the leaderboard.
This is probably going to be a low side front end getting in there. He loses the rear. That's incredible. So the bike started to back in. And Greg, those kind of crashes are such a mystery to me. Every time I've ever seen somebody lose rear that big, they hook up and high side him. He was incredibly lucky, so the front tire actually started to go with him, and he's going to crash up in the corkscrew, which is going to hand Corey Ventura now second or third place on the podium with the hopes of catching up to Escalante.
What a heartbreak for Benjamin Smith in a podium position, and throws it away heading to the corkscrew. Disappointment. Now, Sean Dillon Kelly with a 3.7 second lead over Richie Escalante. And all the M4X Star Suzuki rider has to contend with is lap traffic at this point.
That's what I love about SDK. He just grinds it away. Like at the beginning of the race, he had JD kind of going by him. Then he had Escalante going by him, and he just kind of hung in there. And that's what you have to do. You got to realize that these races are not won in the first 4 or 5 laps. You can definitely lose them, though, if you make big mistakes and run off the track trying to do certain things. He just kind of settled in. Then he started picking these guys off, and he was leading this race when Escalante had a problem. So he was actually out front. Setting that pace was Sean Dillon Kelly, and now he's going to be rewarded with probably close to a 5-second lead this time by. There you go. It's going to say plus 3.7, but that's going to be from the lap prior. So it's probably out now to closer to 5 seconds.
Corey Ventura back in third place with Brandon Posh fourth, Aguilar in fifth, Bryce Prince, Lucas Silva, Andrew Lee in eighth, Minster, and Nolan Lampkin, your top 10. Now, Jason, what's incredible is that Sean Dillon Kelly is at the end of a 2-year deal with M4X Star Suzuki. So what does the future hold for this young man, 18 years old, out of Miami, Florida, doing it on a Suzuki GSXR 600, the same bike you can buy off the showroom floor. And we are seeing on our timing and scoring screens that Richie Escalante is heading down the leaderboard. You can see it on the left part of your screen as well. What has happened to the 2020 champ?
Yeah, you could see, I was wondering if he had pulled into the pits, and for sure they'd had a problem. We're going to see a replay probably of him coming out of turn. Yeah, it's cutting off on him. That's the problem. So the bike is actually just shutting off. So he thinks it's out of fuel, and he was able to get that bike turned into the pit lane and just had a problem. But this is why it's so important to wrap up championships early, as early as you possibly can. That's just really the first mechanical we've seen from that team and that motorcycle all year long.
That's it.
So other than that, it's been a perfect season. Now, the battle for second between Corey Ventura and Brandon Posh is only 2/10. Here you go. Brandon Posh has made his way through and got by Corey Ventura, who was ahead of Brandon. So these guys now are into that turn 9 rainy corner as they head down to turn 10, but they're 12 seconds back, 13 seconds behind the leader.
This makes it even more heartbreaking for the 88 of Benjamin Smith, who had an early exit. He would have found himself in second spot, Jason. So this is it. Corey Ventura losing a position. He's on the 28 to Brandon Posh, number 21, who this week on a Honos Kawasaki.
And again, these are really important laps. The bummer for JD Beach is he really didn't get that many laps.
That's true.
The experience of JD Beach will be that he'll be able to come in and tell the guys kind of some of the things that he felt like he would have liked to have seen different on the motorcycle. But for Brandon Posh and even for Corey Ventura, these laps here are so key. And you can see Brandon is just getting absolutely balked right now by back marker there, all the way from turn 2 in and through turn 3.
Oh,
and
Ventura,
that just absolutely ruined Ventura's charge there or ability to go with Brandon Posh.
Really good job by Posh to jump on a Kawasaki after being all season on a Yamaha. Don't forget, this is the 2019 Moto3 British Superbike National Champion. Not a ton of experience in the middleweight sport bike class, known as Supersport here in MotoAmerica competition. Third in points is the 21, but how about this guy? He's had 3 wins so far this season, 10 second place finishes, and a lone third.
And he's still doing 27s. 27.9 that last time by. Best lap being a 27 flat for Sean Dillon Kelly. But 27.9 now, he's finally dropped into the 28s. 28.1. He sees plus probably 15 on his board at this point. So you can see the consistency in the lap times. 27.1s all the way down. You can see that green one, 27 flat, right in the middle of that nice little run he had. But look, Greg, all the way through lap 15, this young man just did consistent lap times and put his time in there. And this is a nice little way for him to spend his Saturday at the moment. Even though we've seen some guys have some problems, this guy was at the front the whole time.
A 127.048 for M4X Star Suzuki's Sean Dillon Kelly, SDK 40. He qualified, Jason, at a 27.3. The pole time was a 27.1, so SDK in the race on lap 7 was able to go faster than pole time. And Jason, when you look at our front row of Escalante and JD Beach, now that Escalante's out, he got more data than JD Beach did. But in terms of data to bring back to the pits for our second race tomorrow, nobody has it better than Sean Dillon Kelly.
No, he's great. Now here we're going to go back a little further. We got Aguilar, and he's in a battle with Bryce Prince. And these two guys know each other really well. We've seen them battling before. Bryce has now got his own performance shop down in Southern California, doing a lot of stuff I've seen in the drag racing industry, and he built this bike up. I followed him and saw some of the things that he was doing. He built this bike from the ground up for himself to be able to come here. He tested it a couple of weeks ago. I believe he was out at a Let's Ride track day at Buttonwillow, place where he gets to go out and ride all the time, and that was really the only testing I think Bryce got. Now he's right on the back of his good friend Jason Aguilar as they go up into turn 11. Nope, not quite close enough for the 74. These guys now are in this battle for fourth.
Jason Aguilar, a little different body work on it this weekend on the Riders Law Aguilar Racing Yamaha R6. Good to see Bryce Prince back in MotoAmerica competition. Bryce Prince, of course, on the BPR tuning.
He came so close to winning some races, did Bryce, and it was a shame that we didn't get to see him ride all this season, because I think he finished on a pretty good high note last year. Another guy who hasn't been doing a ton of riding, obviously, virtually no racing this year. So Laguna was on the calendar at the end of the year after COVID moved us, and I think he probably circled it, and here he is.
The battle for fourth place between Aguilar and Prince. Accordion effect with about a lap and a half to go. Sean Dillon Kelly leads Brandon Posh by 15.5 seconds over Corey Ventura, who's another 7/10 behind. And then this battle ahead of Lucas Silva, 5 seconds. There's Sean Dillon Kelly, M4X Star Suzuki. Jason, perfect race for SDK.
Really good.
Didn't give up, even with JD Beach in there. He fought it out right at the very beginning. And then everybody just collapsed around him.
He earned this one for sure, and this is what I like to see from him. Like I said, Greg, he was always up in the front. The fact that those other guys had problems, they were no doing of anything that this young man did. And here we go. Corey Ventura has closed that gap back up on Posh that he lost a couple of laps ago. That's going to be a battle for second all the way down to the line. Both of these guys, the podium's going to mean a lot. Good weekend for Honos to have a second bike on the grid with Brandon Posh. But Corey Ventura, this would be a very, very welcoming podium result for him and his family.
And this is part of the reason why you love to have a two-rider team. When one of your riders who is in podium contention goes down or has a problem, and you have another rider of equal caliber and speed, you still have a chance to put your brand on the podium.
Yeah, and we've seen Brandon on the podium all year long, which has been nice. Now he's going to do it on another brand as long as he gets through this last half lap. But you can't say enough about that kid in black leathers there, Corey Ventura. For him to come here to Northern California, what is virtually a home race for him, and be able to put this thing in third. And he's not done yet. I know he still wants to take a nibble at Brandon. He's just a little bit too far back. Looks like we're going to bring SDK home through turn 10 and down into turn 11.
Sean Dillon Kelly out of Miami, Florida, comes out of the final corner. He'll grab a handful of throttle, take a look over his shoulder, throw the wheel in the air, and head off to the checkered flag. Victory for SDK in Supersport race number 1. His crew, M4X Star Suzuki, celebrating, and here comes second place, Brandon Posh, who had enough of a gap on the final lap to hold off Corey Ventura, who pumps his fist He is absolutely thrilled at that podium. And how about this? It's going down to the wire. 96 Aguilar comes to the stripe. He'll get 4th place ahead of Bryce Prince in 5th around some lap traffic.
Now Aguilar was able to take advantage of that lap traffic and go underneath. You can see Bryce having to look over. And so good run from them. Lucas Silva is going to bring it home in 6th. We're waiting for a very impressive Nate Minster as well. Nate Minster, nice spot, nice job for him, as well as Nolan Lampkin. Nolan Lampkin ends up 8th.
So for Sean Dillon Kelly, his 4th win of the season and his 15th podium in 17 races for the 18-year-old. He is pumped. He should be.
Yeah, he should be.
He won that race in a couple of different ways. I mean, he really threw some shots on the first lap at JD Beach, trying to keep him at bay. Escalante gets around him, starts to set sail, and Sean Dillon Kelly never gave up.
Going to be important for Brandon here to get back to that team, talk about some things they'd like to get changed overnight. But you're exactly right about SDK. He goes 27 flat. I believe that was the fastest lap of our race, Greg. So
look at that.
A couple dual wheelies there.
That's adorable. Adorable, heading up to the corkscrew.
That's a steep hill over there.
It is a steep hill.
It's a steep one.
Fun. Should race a bicycle around here. Where they are right now, coming down the corkscrew, 18% grade drop. Absolutely nuts when you're up there. Not as dramatic, though, Jason. Wouldn't you say when you're on a motorcycle, like you're just kind of racing it, it just happens?
I think the first time, if you walk the track first, it's a lot more intimidating. So when you walk the track and have a look at it and then you actually ride it, it's not as intimidating when you ride it, for sure.
Didn't Tony Elias jump on his bike and hug it?
I think he did.
At one point. Making its way around. So Supersport race in the books is Sean Dillon Kelly will enjoy this one as he heads off to victory lane. We'll get to hear from him. So it's Sean Dillon Kelly, Brandon Posh, and Corey Ventura. We're going to hear from them when we come back. The move that made it all happen. SDK with the win.
Today's Supersport race coverage has been sponsored by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Welcome back to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Race 1 done and dusted. Hugs all around for Sean Dillon Kelly and an outstanding win for him. This one will go in the record books. 15 seconds. Here's a look at those results. It's SDK over Brandon Posh and Corey Ventura. Aguilar and Prince in their grid battle. Lucas Silva is at a 2nd earlier on in the season, will finish 6th. They had a Nate Minster, Nolan Lampkin, and Xavier Zayat, your top 9. Good run from those guys, but Hannah is with Sean Dillon Kelly, so we get to hear how his race went, Hannah.
Greg, this is Sean Dillon Kelly's 4th win of the season, 6th of his career. He made a very strong pass for the lead and managed to pull away. Sean, what really seemed to be working well out there for you today to pull this victory off?
Well, first of all, super happy to get this win. Honestly, I came into Laguna, obviously last race of the season, and I came in saying that I'm not going to leave this place without a win or 2. So I'm really happy now that I have the chance to make it a double tomorrow, right? So nothing, really fun race. Good scrap at the beginning with JD. It's nice to have him again, and honestly, it's incredible to see how fast he's running after being, off of a race bike for so long. But it was good. He wasn't easy to go around, and Richie then got by on the first lap, and it was just the 3 of us there fighting, and nothing. Really nice race. Good to get by, JD, and then keep on fighting. And Escalante had a little bit of a gap, but I noticed that I was fast enough or strong enough to be able to catch up, and that's exactly what I did. I passed him, and I was expecting a little bit more of a fight from Richie, but he wasn't able, to get by. And then I realized that the gap, was changing every lap. Something crazy was happening. So I guess both of the guys behind me made a mistake and weren't able to hold on. So nothing. Really happy to be here in the P1 spot. Just needed to give the thank you to the whole M4XR Suzuki squad. Thank you, Jeremy Toy. Thank you, Michael Torres. Thank you to my family, everyone watching back at home. I love everyone, and just nothing. Really happy to be here. Gonna keep on fighting tomorrow, and nothing. Last but not least, thank you, Fresh and Lean, for supporting the program, keeping me on top of my game. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Congrats.
There you go, the story of that race for Sean Dillon Kelly. And yeah, we know it. I mean, we saw it. He fought. And then once he settled down into 2nd place, he was like, wait a second. I got to get up to this guy, Richie Escalante, and he put on a good fight and a win. As for Brandon Posh, 15 seconds behind, but another second-place finish, Hannah.
Another second place, despite being on a new team and a completely different bike this weekend. Brandon, how were you able to hold Corey Ventura off at the end there to secure this second place today?
First of all, I really hope JD and Ben are okay. There was a couple of big crashes, and I'm not sure what happened to Richie, but super lucky for me today, and I just hope everybody's all right and they can go again tomorrow. And yeah, I can't thank the whole Honos and Graves Kawasaki team enough, Fresh and Leaner, Speedy, just everybody for putting this together last minute. And it's been a wild couple weeks, but yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow, get back to work, and hopefully put this thing a little bit closer to the front. And yeah.
Thanks, Brandon. Congratulations.
It's a really good ride for Brandon. I think a dream ride for him, actually, to be able to put it on the podium. And, you know, it's nice that he acknowledges the guys in front of him that had some tip-offs. You know, you kind of create your own luck. You got to be there at the end. Brandon was there again. He'll learn from that today. Hopefully he'll be able to go back with that team and help him move up a little bit further. Hannah's got to be with a pretty excited Corey Ventura.
Well, this is Corey Ventura's first appearance in the MotoAmerica paddock in quite some time, pulling off his first ever Supersport podium this weekend with a third place. Corey, how does it feel to come back to this paddock and emerge with this kind of victory?
Oh man, it's unexplainable. This is so awesome. It's been such a long road to get back here. I had a little bad luck last year, but we put this program back together this year. I didn't even know if I was going to go racing this year, but we threw it all together. If it weren't for Jesse Kaler and the whole crew, Jeff Bobier, my dad, I have to give a huge shout out to all of them. Miguel, it wouldn't be possible without all of them, and I'm so happy to be up here. I'm speechless.
Congratulations, Corey Ventura, today's third place finisher.
No, that's amazing to see Corey up here. That's going to be all the way through our paddock. Everybody's going to be really happy for that young man.
So Sean Dillon Kelly enjoys his celebration. More coming from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in just a moment. Back in Monterey, California, Supersport celebrations happening for this one. Well, Jason Pridmore, I think wasn't exactly the race we thought it was going to be. We really thought, I think you and I talking, that it was going to come down to Sean Dillon Kelly, Richie Escalante, and JD Beach all going after it. But this is racing. Attrition happens.
Kind of started that way because we knew JD Beach would be there and throwing his name in that hat, and we thought it would be close all the way to the end. And we haven't seen Richie have any mechanical issues all year long. And I said it in the telecast, this is why it's so important as a team to really wrap that championship up as early as you can. If it comes down to the last race like it would have today, it would have been heartbreaking for that team to see that bike go out.
And the thing is with JD Beach, I think the most important thing is not just the data they get for setup, because JD, it's been so long since he's been on a road race bike that it was more important for him to establish a rhythm in terms of, it may sound fundamental here, but in terms of how he gets on the gas, how he gets on the brakes, and really remembering what it's like to be at race pace on a Supersport machine.
Yeah, and he's been here obviously a bunch of times at Laguna Seca, but he's been doing a completely different discipline this year. And to come and throw yourself into it and be running at the sharp end like he was today, we'd expect that from JD, and he would expect that from himself. But maybe there was a little something that was just missing a tiny bit in race setup to where it made it to where he made a mistake today in turn 6 and gets high-sided. And just let's hope that he's okay.
Yeah, and for JD Beach, really, I think it's a lot of that has to do with the amount of feedback he's been able to give John Ethel in terms of, you know, look, I haven't been on a road race bike in a while. We were talking about it earlier. The amount of grip you get on a dirt track bike versus a road race bike is so dramatically different.
Yeah, and that's a really hard place to do it, because if the bike backs in just a little bit as you go into turn 6, and you go through this little depression, and when you hit that depression and the bike's a little bit sideways, it can do exactly what it did to JD. So they're going to get back to the drawing board, providing he's okay, and him and John will get their heads together and make it better for tomorrow.
Jason, here's race 1 highlights that we saw, and it was a good start from our front row.
Yeah, great start for JD Beach. You can see STK was in a hurry to get to the front. He tried around the outside here. He tried going inside in turn 3. Eventually, he tried going inside in turn 5. All the while, JD kept on kind of battling and fighting back. Escalante was trying to get forward, and you can see here, once Escalante got through STK, he went after JD Beach and made that pass. He actually provided himself a little bit of a gap. JD made a mistake coming out of turn 11, which actually made it available the pass for STK to go up underneath him into turn 2. There's the crash that we talked about. This is really the winning move. STK just kind of parks it right in the middle and doesn't allow Escalante to turn it back up underneath him. It was only a few laps later that we saw Benjamin Smith crash out of a podium position. This guy Escalante, his bike was just cutting off mid-corner. That was the problems that he was having. STK goes on to win his 4th one of the year.
Certainly does, and STK, it's add in for Sean Dillon Kelly in terms of information for tomorrow. Here's a look at how the points are. Of course, Richie Escalante wrapped everything up. You can see there's only 25 points remaining available in this season for Sean Dillon Kelly. So the number 1 plate goes to Richie Escalante. SDK and Brandon Posh locked into 2nd and 3rd place. Well, that'll do it for Supersport race number 1 from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. For Jason Pridmore and Hannah Lopa, I'm Greg White. Thanks so much for watching. And we're going to do this again tomorrow. You can see it right there, 4 p.m. East. It's Supersport race number 2. It's going to be a barn burner. So make sure you join us then.